Hey there, science explorers! Today we're diving into a super cool idea. It's called autopoiesis. That's Autopoiesis. Sounds like a mouthful, doesn't it? But stick with me. It simply means self-making or self-creating. Imagine something that builds itself from the inside out, and then it keeps itself running, all on its own. That's the core of autopoiesis, life making more life by itself. It's a fundamental secret to understanding what it means to be alive. This amazing concept helps us define what living things really are. It's not just about eating and growing, though those are part of it. It's about how living systems are organized to constantly produce themselves. They are like little or big factories that make all their own parts, and they also make the machinery that makes the parts. This continuous process of self-renewal is happening all the time. It's what keeps life going, moment by moment, day by day. Pretty neat, huh? Science is all about figuring out these big ideas. This idea came from two brilliant scientists, Humberto Maturana and Francisco Varela. They were pondering a big question. What makes living things different? Different from rocks or rivers or even fancy robots? They realized it wasn't just about what things do, but how they are. It's about their internal organization, their ability to self-construct. They saw that living systems are masters of their own creation. This insight changed the way many scientists think about life itself. It's a powerful way to look at the natural world around us. So when you think autopoiesis, think autonomy, think self-reliance. Living things aren't just puppets controlled by outside forces. They actively maintain their own identity, their own structure. They define their own boundaries and manage their own internal processes. This self-production is the key difference from non-living things. A car, for example, is built in a factory by people and machines. But a tiny bacterium, it builds itself. That's the wonder of autopoiesis. Understanding this helps us appreciate the ingenuity of life even more. Let's zoom in, way in, to the basic unit of life, the cell. Your body is made of trillions of them. Plants have them, animals have them. A single cell is a fantastic example of autopoiesis in action. Think of it as a microscopic, bustling city, always working. It has a boundary, the cell membrane, like a flexible city wall. This wall isn't just sitting there. The cell constantly repairs and rebuilds it. It carefully controls what comes in and what goes out. This boundary is crucial for the cell to maintain itself as a distinct entity. Inside this tiny city, it's a whirlwind of activity. The cell is constantly making proteins, fats, and all sorts of molecules. These aren't just random bits and pieces floating around. They are the very components that make up the cell itself. They allow it to function, to live, to be a cell. It's like a factory that not only produces goods, but also produces its own machines. And it even produces the workers needed to keep the factory running smoothly. Every part contributes to making other parts in a never-ending cycle. And who or what is in charge of all this production? The cell itself, of course. That's the magic of autopoiesis. It takes in energy and raw materials from its environment, like food. But it uses these resources to produce itself, its own structure. It builds its own machinery, repairs its own damages. It's a closed loop of production where the product is the producer. The cell's organization creates the components that, in turn, maintain that organization. It's a beautiful, self-contained system of biochemical artistry. So a cell isn't just a simple bag of chemicals, not at all. It's a dynamic, self-creating and self-maintaining system. It actively defines what it is, moment by moment. It preserves its identity over time, even as molecules flow in and out. This continuous self-renewal is the very essence of being alive. If this intricate process of self-production stops, the cell stops being alive. It's a powerful demonstration that life is a process, an ongoing act of creation. The humble cell is a true marvel of autopoietic engineering. For a long time, people often thought of living things as complex machines. You know, like a very intricate clock with lots of gears and springs. If a part broke, you could theoretically fix it or replace it. And then, the machine would chug along again, good as new. This mechanical view was helpful for understanding some things about bodies, but it missed something really fundamental about what makes life, life. It missed the active, self-organizing, self-creating spark. Life isn't just put together, it puts itself together constantly. Autopoiesis gives us a fresh, more accurate perspective. It tells us that life isn't primarily about its inputs and outputs. It's not like a toaster designed just to make toast for us. Instead, the primary job of a living system is to maintain its own organization. It's about keeping its own identity, its own process of self-production going. The purpose of an autopoietic system, if it has one, is to continue being itself. It's focused on its internal dynamics, its own survival as a system. This is a really big shift from thinking of life as just a tool or a mechanism. Consider this. A car is designed by humans, right? It's built in a factory by external workers and machines. Its purpose is to provide transportation, something defined from the outside. If your car breaks down, it can't fix itself. It needs a mechanic. A living organism, like a tree or a squirrel, is different. It produces its own components, its own structure from within. Its main goal is to sustain its own life, its autopoietic organization. It's intrinsically driven to keep its own show on the road. Now, this doesn't mean living things don't interact with their environment. Of course they do. They eat, they breathe, they move, they react. But all these interactions and functions are ultimately in service of one thing: maintaining their autopoiesis, their ability to keep self-producing. A plant seeks sunlight to get energy to rebuild itself. An animal hunts for food to get materials to continue its self-production. It's a more holistic and dynamic view, seeing life as an active, self-sustaining process, not just a passive machine designed by someone else for some other purpose. Alright, let's explore a key part of autopoiesis: operational closure. It sounds a bit like a shop putting up a closed sign, doesn't it? But it's not quite like that. It's about how the system works internally. Imagine a circle or a loop. The processes inside an autopoietic system are like that. They are organized in a circular, interconnected way. Each process helps create or maintain other processes within that same system. The system's operations are primarily focused on itself, on keeping its own organization going. It's like a self-contained club where members support each other to keep the club alive. Now, this closure doesn't mean the system is totally sealed off. It's not like a can of soup, completely isolated from everything outside. Living systems are very much open to their environment. They have to be. They need to take in energy and matter, think food, water, air, and they release waste products back into the environment. So they are open in terms of energy and materials flowing through them. But, and this is the cool part, they are organizationally closed. This means their internal pattern of self-production defines them, not outside instructions. Think of a whirlpool forming in a river. It's a great analogy. The whirlpool is made of water from the river, so it's open to that flow. Water molecules are constantly entering and leaving the whirlpool. But the swirling pattern, the whirlpool itself, is a distinct, self-maintaining organization. That pattern persists even as the specific water changes. Similarly, an autopoietic system, like a cell or you, maintains its specific organization. It keeps its identity even as materials and energy flow through it. Its identity lies in its continuous pattern of self-production, its internal dance. So, operational closure means the system's identity is defined by its own network. It's defined by its internal processes, its own way of doing things. It's not defined by external blueprints in the same way a machine is built from a plan. It's like a jazz band improvising together. They listen to each other, respond to each other, and create music on the fly. The music they create is a product of their interaction, unique to them. The outside world provides the stage and the audience, energy and matter. But the band, the living system, makes itself and its music from within. So, if living systems are operationally closed, how do they deal with the world? How do they interact with everything around them? This is super important. The answer lies in another cool concept: structural coupling. It sounds technical, but it just means how a living system and its environment change each other. They change through repeated interactions over time. Think of it like a dance between two partners. The system is one partner, and its environment is the other. They influence each other's moves, and their dance evolves as they go. Imagine a little plant growing in your window. It needs sunlight, right? The plant, an autopoietic system, changes its structure. It grows leaves, and its stem might bend towards the light. It does this in response to the sun, which is part of its environment. The sun doesn't tell the plant what to do with a set of instructions. Instead, the plant's internal organization responds to the light. It responds in a way that helps it maintain its autopoiesis, its ability to make food and live. The plant and its sunny environment become structurally coupled. They fit together. Or think about learning to ride a bicycle. That's structural coupling in action. The bicycle and the environment, the ground, gravity, maybe a wobbly path, present challenges. You, as an autopoietic system, change your posture, your balance, your movements. Your nervous system and muscles adapt with each try. The bicycle itself doesn't change much, but you change. Through repeated interactions, practice, you and the bicycle become coupled. You develop a way of interacting that allows you to ride smoothly. You maintain your balance and movement, which are vital for your well-being. This ongoing process of structural coupling is how living systems find their place. It's how they fit into their specific worlds and survive. It's not about being perfectly designed for an environment from the very start. It's about a history of interactions, a back-and-forth conversation. This conversation shapes both the system and, sometimes, even the environment too. This dynamic interplay allows organisms to navigate their surroundings effectively. It allows them to thrive and continue their autopoietic journey. It's how we learn, how we adapt, and how life evolves. Now hold on to your hats, because this idea of autopoiesis gets even bigger. It doesn't just apply to cells or animals or plants. Some very smart thinkers, like a sociologist named Niklas Luhmann, had a thought. They wondered if this idea could help us understand social systems, things like societies, organizations, or even the economy. He proposed that societies are also autopoietic. Whoa! But if a society is self-making, what are its basic components? Instead of molecules and cells, Luhmann said, it's communications. Think about it. A society exists and continues because people communicate. Every conversation, every book written, every law passed, every news report, every social media post, every shared story. These are all communications. Each communication builds on previous communications, and each one creates the possibility for new communications to follow. It's a self-referential network, a continuous flow of meaning-making. A new law, for example, refers to existing laws or social issues, and those issues themselves are understood and defined through prior communications. Society makes itself through talking, just like a cell maintains its boundary to distinguish itself from its surroundings. A social system, like the legal system or the economy, also has boundaries. It distinguishes itself from its environment through its specific type of communication. The legal system operates with legal communications, laws, court rulings, contracts. It distinguishes itself from, say, the economic system, which uses different communications. The economy talks in prices, payments, investments, and market reports. These systems are operationally closed in terms of their core operations. Law makes more law from legal talk. The economy makes economic decisions from economic talk. This doesn't mean people aren't important. Absolutely not. People are essential for communication to happen, of course, just like molecules are essential for a cell to exist and function. But the focus of autopoiesis in society is on the network of communications itself. It's about how that network sustains itself, reproduces itself, and evolves. It's a fascinating and sometimes mind-bending way to think about our world. How cultures, institutions, and even our daily interactions create and recreate society. It's all one giant ongoing self-making conversation. So how do we learn things? How do we understand the world around us? Autopoiesis offers some really cool insights here too. It suggests that knowledge isn't just about us passively soaking up information, like a sponge absorbing water from an objective world out there. Instead, knowing is an active process, deeply connected to our being alive. Our nervous system, which is itself an amazing autopoietic system, is key. It organizes itself based on its interactions with the world. What we know is built, not just found. Think about seeing the color red. Is redness just out there in the apple? Well, the apple reflects light waves of a certain frequency, but the experience of red is created by your nervous system. It's your brain's interpretation of those light waves. Another animal, maybe your dog or a bee, has a different nervous system. They might experience that same light very differently, or perhaps not see red at all. So, what we perceive and what we know is shaped by our own unique structure. It's shaped by our own way of being, our own biological makeup. This means learning is a beautiful example of structural coupling. Remember how a system and its environment change each other? As we interact with the world, reading a book, doing an experiment, talking to someone, our internal structures like our brain and our understanding change. We build our own mental models of how things work. These models aren't necessarily perfect, 100% accurate copies of reality, but they are effective for us. They allow us to navigate our world. They help us interact successfully and maintain our own autopoiesis as individuals. It's like building your own personal guidebook to life. So, what does this mean for education? It's a big deal. It suggests that teaching isn't just about pouring facts into a student's head. It's more about creating environments where students can actively construct their own understanding, where they can explore, experiment, and make connections through their own experiences. It's about fostering that internal process of self-organization and sense-making. This view really emphasizes the active role of the learner. You are the architect of your own knowledge, the builder of your own understanding. And that's incredibly empowering, don't you think? Let's bring this amazing idea of autopoiesis right home to you. How does it relate to your personal growth, your identity, who you are? Well, guess what? You are an incredibly complex autopoietic system. You are constantly creating and recreating yourself every single day. Not just physically, with new cells replacing old ones, but also psychologically, your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, your memories. All these things contribute to your sense of self, your unique identity. And this identity isn't some fixed statue. It's a living, breathing, dynamic process. Think about how your experiences shape the person you become. A big life event, like moving to a new city or starting a new job. Learning a new skill, like playing an instrument or speaking a new language. Even a meaningful conversation can perturb your system, make you think. In response, you reorganize your thoughts, your feelings, maybe even your behaviors. You integrate these new experiences and your sense of self evolves. This is you, maintaining your psychological autopoiesis, adapting and growing. You're still fundamentally you, but you're also constantly becoming a new version of you. This perspective on yourself can be incredibly liberating and hopeful. It means you are not stuck being one particular way forever. You are not defined solely by your past or by what others think. You have an amazing, built-in capacity for continuous self-renewal and transformation. Just as a cell replaces its molecules to stay alive and healthy, you can change your habits, update your beliefs, and develop new aspects of your personality. Personal growth, then, is essentially a process of actively participating in your own self-creation. You are both the artist and the ever-evolving artwork. How cool is that? Understanding yourself as an autopoietic being can also boost your resilience. Life throws curveballs sometimes, right? We all face challenges. When you see these challenges not just as threats that might break you, but as perturbations that offer opportunities for your system to reorganize, to learn, to adapt, and to become stronger or wiser. It encourages a proactive approach to life. You can consciously choose experiences and reflections that contribute to the kind of self you want to be. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep building that amazing, unique autopoietic you. So, we've been on quite a journey exploring autopoiesis. Why is this big idea, self-making, so important to grasp? Well, first off, it fundamentally changes how we understand life itself. It moves us beyond seeing living things as just complicated machines or collections of parts. Instead, it reveals that life is an active, ongoing process, a process of continuous self-creation and self-maintenance. This is a profound shift in perspective, a real game-changer. It helps us appreciate the incredible autonomy and dynamism in all living systems, from the tiniest microbe to the largest whale. Secondly, autopoiesis gives us a powerful new lens for looking at ourselves, understanding that we are autopoietic beings, constantly shaping and being shaped by our interactions with the world and with each other. This is empowering. It highlights our incredible innate capacity for growth, learning, and adaptation. It reminds us that our identity isn't a static, fixed thing. It's a living process, a story that we actively participate in writing every day. This can be incredibly inspiring for our personal development and our well-being. You are, in a very real sense, in charge of your own becoming. Beyond the individual, the concept of autopoiesis offers valuable insights into social systems, how communication works, and even how we construct knowledge. It helps us see the underlying self-organizing nature of groups, societies, and cultures, how they maintain their identities and patterns through ongoing interactions. This can lead to new ways of thinking about collaboration and social change. How can we foster healthier, more adaptive communities and organizations? It encourages us to look for the dynamic patterns of organization, not just surface details. It helps us understand how systems maintain themselves and how they can change. Ultimately, autopoiesis matters because it deepens our appreciation for the universe, the complexity, the ingenuity, and the sheer wonder of it all. It provides a unifying framework, a way to connect ideas, for understanding how diverse systems, whether biological or social, maintain their existence and evolve. It sparks curiosity, encourages critical thinking, and promotes a more holistic worldview. It invites us to see life not as a collection of objects, but as a dance of processes. So, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep marveling at the incredible self-creating power of life. Science is amazing,